It's been a crazy weekend of politics, and comedians have been having a ball all week. Alycia Cooper, she joins us right now. She's from Maryland. Her dream was to do stand-up comedy. Well, her dream has certainly come true, and she's back to visit her hometown. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Roland.
Well, you know, I don't know. You sure you got your papers? 'Cause, you know, Trump might call ICE.
Hey,
you know.
Hey, I got it in my
he ain't down with brown people.
No, I keep mine on me. It's crazy. I mean, it's been a crazy week, hasn't it? I mean, I've never seen nothing like. We got judges hugging convicted murderers. I'm like, come on. Everybody gets this whole thing of forgiveness mixed up. Nobody's saying not forgive. You know, you're not a Christian if you don't forgive. We saying, how you forgive 5 minutes later? Like, forgiveness to me is earned.
Right.
You know the process Mike Vick had to go through to get white forgiveness? You know, it was a loss of a career, jail time. He had to go into all these programs and PETA and all this stuff, and then had to go and wash dogs. And I mean, this man had to do everything to get his life back, and he earned forgiveness. So how come we don't ever have any stipulations on earning our forgiveness?
Oh, no, that's not how it goes. No, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes.
Like, let me process this whole thing first. Like, I'm just supposed to forgive you immediately? When does that happen?
Well, speaking of process, we started the week off with Donald Trump finding out about this call to Ukraine.
Right.
And then he called it fake news. Then he came out and said, yeah, I called him.
Yeah.
You know if you're going to lie on the beginning, you don't come out and admit it. And then comes out and says, Chad, I want y'all to get involved, too.
But when that man stood in front of that podium on the campaign trail and said, Russia, if you're listening, he should have been cuffed right then and there. If there's no consequences for this man, he's not going to stop. I watched the Roy Cohn documentary, and we realized that that's who he patterned his whole life at. They do everything in full view and right out front, so you can't say that it's collusion or conspiracies. They try to do it that way, but he's bad at it. You know, he's bad at it. Like you said, you're going to lie on Monday and then say something else Tuesday. But Giuliani's the same way. He lying in the same soundbite.
That has probably been, I saw one tweet where somebody said, oh, my goodness, we're losing all that respect we had for Rudy Giuliani as America's mayor. And somebody said,
when?
Who? They're like, who you talking about?
Who are you talking about? That man is plumb crazy. And Donald Trump, you know he crazy. He couldn't even win his own home state. So when your own home state won't vote for you, that's because they know you full of crap. Hillary won Illinois. You know, so I'm like, listen to the people that know this man the best. They know that he's a crook and a criminal, and who voted for him. You can't never get nobody to admit they voted for him, but somebody voted for him, right?
What's wrong? You uncomfortable? Well, Alycia, look at it. What's wrong? You sweating?
Yeah, you need to be sweating.
They ain't gonna let you back in the White House. You okay?
Be sweating down there.
I think I'm right.
I heard you grown down here. You all right?
He over there. We need a defibrillator for him. Clear.
They've always been nice. He's a nice guy, man. I think
Who is?
Who's a nice guy?
I think the message. So I've always said this, and I really mean it. I've always said this. People, I'm gonna choose my words carefully. You never know this would go.
Back to the White House.
Damn the street.
They watching.
Two blocks left.
Yeah, I'm about to get audited right now for my jokes.
There are those around him who remind him that sometimes the things that he says on Twitter can rub folks the wrong way, and to focus more on the policy and the good things that he has done and is doing. First Step Back, HBCU, funny things like that.
Does it need a hearing aid? Because he damn sure ain't listening.
You know, so I try to focus on the positives, you know, that he is doing, and the good work that he's working on right now. I mean, he has great people like Jerron Smith there, who does a phenomenal job, HBCU graduate as well. Phenomenal guy who really is passionate about it. But we definitely are living in a challenging time. I mean, I think it's just very divisive, both parties. You got people like AOC and Maxine Waters who...
Bro, really?
I think...
Really? Really?
Maxine.
Really? Hold on. You actually brought out both parties' bullshit. Really?
Well, but for Maxine to say that, I mean, it's one thing for them to say impeachment, but for her to say that he should be jailed in solitary confinement, that's a bit much.
He is a thug in chief.
Well, I mean, Representative Waters has been around for, 30-plus years in the House. She's been longer than that if you look at California politics. She is not the issue.
She's had her own corruption scandal as well. So
I mean, but she's not calling Ukraine and telling them to look into this man's life. Well, and also, she's not going on record and saying, hey, you know, murder teenagers who were now exonerated for crimes. She's also not owning buildings and keeping people in slums, right? Like, she's not discriminating against people and the properties that she owns.
Right.
She's not doing any of the things that Donald Trump has done over his history. And she's not the president.
See, if this was in court, sustained. Alycia to be
Because
sustained.
sometimes you just can't defend people, even if you like them as people, even if he's your party. It's just not defensible. It's not even worth it.
Well, but I generally, you're right. You can't defend everything, but I generally,
No.
Not much
Just
to
it's not.
correct. But I generally, based off of my relationship and what I do know, I mean, overall, I mean, I say what I mean.
Somebody loved Hitler too, but that don't make him a good
it wasn't
person.
me,
He's
right?
not forgivable.
I would venture to say we probably know the same thing, and the thing is that there's very little you could defend Donald Trump at this point.
Oh, I
mean, very, very minutely.
You mean on that issue or?
I mean,
Hell,
very
on
broadly.
any issue.
I mean, life. Very, very broadly.
This is a whole other. We running out of time. This is a whole.
No, we're not.
This is a whole other conversation.
We got time for that.
No. Let me hold on. Let me help you out. This is my shit.
Okay, all right.
We don't run out of time. I own all this.
Right.
So, Shell, we can go to 9 o'clock.
Right.
So, you know, we don't know we out of time.
We've done that before. We've done that before.
Don't be trying to look to the clock when the seat getting hot.
Right, and we all know the only person he ever hired that was qualified to do their job was Stormy Daniels. So we don't know nothing else about no Donald Trump and his administration. It is horrible, and people need to get up and vote this time. People want to say, oh, your vote doesn't count. It does count if you use it.
But when we focus on a more policy, right?
This man, all throughout the whole campaign trail, he didn't have one policy. What policy did he have during the campaign
but let's talk
trail?
about.
Hate them.
But let's talk about. But let's talk about what he. The ironic
thing
part.
is this,
The ironic part. This is why
the
they're actually
thing
having
is
a
this,
summit right
the
now at the
thing
White
is
House on black issues while we're talking at this very moment.
So
Say
Who's
what?
the black people there?
Who?
say.
Who? With Candace them?
Who's that?
Boy, bye.
Officer?
No.
Boy, bye.
She's wrong.
I would say this.
Yeah, she's
there was actually, it pains me to say this, but probably a few times there was some kind of actually policy discussions when Omarosa was there.
All right, we need to get her back.
No, we don't.
Let that woman be. She finally got her soul back a little bit. I think she finally got it back.
But no, really. But even like the first step back, I think.
The thing with the first step back is that you have folk like Rand Paul, you have folk like Cedric Richmond, you have folk like Maxine Waters that were working on that well before Donald Trump entered the scene. Just because he put his signature on it doesn't mean
but
he
it
gets to
definitely
clean
was.
the...
I mean, Jerron.
I give Jerron 100% credit on that. When he was back on the Hill before he joined the White House, you know, he was one of the architects of that deal, among other
He
deals.
was a generation opportunity before he came to the White House, right? And I worked with him personally on the criminal justice reform. I mean, but look, the reality is that he definitely is doing all he can do. He is doing a substantial amount of.
But the thing is this. I'm gonna one more point. But the thing is this, right? Jerron's a brother. That's a big brother to me, all right? But if we're gonna, and I think one day Roland probably should facilitate this conversation. We're gonna have a real conversation about the Trump White House.
Right.
There needs to be a conversation why there are no black senior staffers in the Trump White House.
Right.
Well, first of all, and I'm with you on that. But first of all, you have to get people that want to be there.
You do.
And
I can rattle off. Let me tell you something. I can rattle off a list of probably 50 people right now that would go into
Alycia,
the
here's
West
what I
Wing.
think is funny. Here's what I think is funny. Here's what I think is real funny here.
Okay.
This is sort of like, to be a black conservative and try to defend Trump, it's sort of like that dude who don't see his kid all year. Ain't bought no gift, ain't paid child support, but he come in with a damn Hot Wheel and then say, you ain't gonna give me a hug? You can't do one damn thing and then somehow go, show me some love. Hell no!
Exactly. You nailed it. That is the administration. But y'all got a hard job. Every time you start talking, this man get parked. He got to do something. This is a stressful situation for you.
So let me ask you a question. We talk about this all the time, different people. Honestly, I want to ask you an honest question.
Look, he was getting ready to go for the water.
What would it take? Yeah, this is a different type of audience, let me tell you. Fox is doing, we have a lot of fun. But anyways, so what would it take?
Fox will challenge you.
That's another story.
They won't challenge you. That's why they don't call me. Oh, hell no. Fox ain't going to call me. They call everybody who come on my show but me. Oh, they got my number and the email. They like, nah, we ain't calling that Negro. They say, him different. Him different.
You said, what would it take?
Yeah, no, seriously. So if you were in front of President Trump right now, and he said, look, I understand your frustration, but frustrations aside, what would it take at this point? What would you like to see happen? If he literally actually said, give me 5 things or whatever, one thing that you
I'll give you one.
Resign.
Boom. Quit.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, one thing I would like him to be more of a unifier. It's too much division coming from 16.
Next. Okay, go number 2. That ain't gonna happen.
Okay, that's not gonna happen. Number 2, I would need them to stop making excuses for stuff like, for instance, minimum wage. They want to say, oh, minimum wage will bankrupt people.
Skip that one. He ain't gonna do that.
Minimum wage on a sliding scale.
What's number 3? He ain't gonna do that.
Number 3, I need him to put some more African Americans in positions of power.
He ain't gonna do that. What's number 4?
Staff position.
What's number 4?
Number 4,
He did appoint. I don't have her name correct, but he did appoint the first black female general. I can't think of. You might know.
Attorney General?
No, general.
General of the military.
First of all, the president
Okay.
doesn't appoint generals. Generals actually earn their way up, and then they're actually recommended for the next level by the Pentagon. And then the president, in the ceremonial way, signs off. But he don't appoint the general.
Well, I shouldn't say appoint. The point is he helped.
He pinned the ribbon.
Well, she had a long career by the time she made it to general, so she just happened to be the guy in the
Right,
shed.
you might want to skip that one. Come up with something new.
4th thing.
Yeah, what's your 4th or 5th thing? Why he thinking of something new?
Man, I mean, it's just nothing that we could do that would help the situation he's going to agree to. You know, I want to abolish the electoral college. He's not going to agree to that because it benefits him. So there's so many things that won't get passed. You know, what I mean, everything is stacked in his favor. He's stacking the Supreme Court. He's stacking.
But I gotta ask you. Hold on, wait, hold on. He's so ignorant. Is it hard for a comedian to get jokes, or is this just like?
Oh, it's easy. It's easy to get jokes. But look at SNL. The stuff writes itself. Yeah. You know, no, it's very easy to do jokes in this climate on Donald Trump. It's actually a little too easy.
You think he'll be reelected in 2020?
Hell no.
You don't think so?
Hell no.
In a scary way, I think so.
No, he ain't gonna get
In a
reelected.
scary way. Let me tell you, unless people that did not vote get up off their behinds this time.
Let me
He
tell you something.
ain't gonna get elected. We are not electing a man who's the same color as your tie twice. It ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen.
If people don't get up off their butts and vote, we're in trouble.
I don't think the Democrats have anybody. From
I will say this. I think the Democrats have 23, 24 candidates that could just put their name on the ballot and defeat Donald Trump.
Right.
Never again will you see Donald Trump or another Republican win Michigan by 16,000 votes, win Pennsylvania by 40,000 votes, or Wisconsin by 20,000 votes.
And Democrats this year are ABT.
Those
Anybody
margins
Trump.
you will never see.
It ain't gonna happen.
You can put a squirrel up.
Ain't gonna happen.
We vote
And
for that
honestly, if the
squirrel.
Republicans care about their own party, they should do everything they
I
can
agree
to
with you.
defeat
Get
this
rid of
man.
him.
I mean,
Because
look,
the soul of their
the
party
thing
is
this,
on the
thing is,
line.
you cannot have a serious discussion about black people and Donald Trump until two things happen: until there are actual black senior staffers, not named Ben Carson, or that actually have access, power, and resources. One, and two.
Did you actually say what's wrong with Carson?
And two.
Is he awake?
And two, if the Trump campaign is serious about engaging black voters, if they're raising $125 million in coordination with the RNC quarter in, quarter out,
Right.
and I know for a fact that the convention's already fully funded and all their programs are fully funded, there's no excuse that there isn't ample black and Hispanic staff. There's no excuse that there isn't ample resources for black and Hispanic field staff.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse that there isn't ample resources for black vendors to do business
under
with
this
the RNC
man's
and the
administration, the
campaign.
clock
So-
has been rolled back on black progress. You know, there's fewer black cabinet members in the last few decades now.
I mean, he's taking a page out of the
You know.
Nixon book, right? We give
Yes.
it up on blacks. In no
Yes.
way. So
Yes.
we're just going to move on, right?
Yes.
And he's not the only one,
No.
in fairness. But I do think this man is a grifter. This man is a thief. He does not care about being a Republican in so much as
better
they can
take a sip of
elect
that
him.
water.
So I
He
just
wants
don't
it.
even know why Republicans want him.
Right.
I get you want to win, but doubling down on this man is horrifying to me.
But think about how funny it is how we used to complain about McCain and Romney possibly winning.
I mean,
we
we
take
complain
either
about
one of
Bush,
them right
and
now.
I'm saying Bush looks amazing
Look,
right
Bush
now.
looks great right now.
I got to ask you the last question here. There's no group that hates Republicans more than black women. I'm talking about
With good
it ain't,
reason.
Ain't even close. Black women
That's
just
true.
and no. The Republicans told me that I was in the meeting with Rice Previews and the sister Tar was like, "Don't know black women don't like us at all.
Oh, no.
Why?
No, because black women have a ability to see through BS. We cut straight through it. I remember I had a boss. I was when I was in college. I was working at NIH in the evenings, and my boss said, I was like 20 years old. She said, "You black people have a very good sense of BS. You guys don't. You see straight through everything." And at the time, I was too young to realize what she was saying. But then years later, I was like, she is exactly right. We have this sixth sense. We can smell it a mile away. We can see it. We know it. We don't have time for BS because we already have too much responsibility as it is that we can't afford to have the wrong person get a certain
And
job.
not to mention that their policies disproportionately hurt us, right? When you talk about
hurt us.
access to abortion, access to birth control, a fair minimum wage, a living wage, child care provisions, environment, right? We're still talking about black women. So yes, we got real beef with Republicans. And I actually think there could be some space in there, but there will be no space to have a conversation about black people and Republicans as long as this man is the face of your party and you all continue to double down on his lying, sleazy, filthy, inhumane policy. This man is regularly and routinely in violation of international human rights laws. Not to say he's the only one, but talk about that border.
Ain't gonna happen, Chris.
Talk about
Chris, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
Chris,
you
ain't
can't
gonna
convince
happen.
me. I'm one of those black women.
Chris, ain't gonna happen.
24.
Chris, it ain't gonna happen.
So here's my question.
And the funny thing is, black women are conservative. But we're not gonna go over that way. So that lets you know
we don't like
something is
racists,
wrong.
right?
We should be with conservatives if the conservatives were not racist and horrible.
If Republicans,
We
I
should
can't
be
say
an easy
conservative.
group for you
We
to
will see
get.
y'all in 2024.
So here's my question. So let's say he's reelected, right? 2020. So and actually a buddy of mine, sure, Michael, we talked about this numerous times. So really, how do we, as a culture, come together and say, okay, look, let's say he's reelected, right? Okay, great. So now you have 8 years. So how do we say, listen, it is what it is. Those that are frustrated, or whatever, don't like him, whatever. How do you say, okay, look, now we have 4 more years?
Okay, first of all,
we can't just sit back and say,
first
well,
of all, you ain't got 4 more years. Okay, so this is now October 2019.
I'm talking about 2020 once he wins the re-election.
No, he ain't gonna win. So I mean, so you might want to focus on you got 13 months.
Yeah.
So you might want to focus on that. You ain't gonna get 4 more years.
Get ready for another.
But I want to see the
GOP
antics.
No. You ain't getting 4 more years.
But Roland,
no, there's
if we
a
lose,
massive.
I want to see the antics. It's gonna be hard to get him out of there.
Oh no, absolutely. But no, there's a massive Goodyear blimp-sized can of whoop ass that's about to be open. And that's why all your Republicans are retiring in the House.
Yeah,
That's why they freaking out
6
in the
members
Senate.
in Texas alone.
Say, bro.
6 members in Texas
Say, dog. They
alone.
like, yo, we out. We
And in
because we
2018,
look.
those midterms are in
Look. I'm telling you, Alycia, Republicans right now going like, is that Debo coming? They like, is that Debo coming? Get in the house. Debo coming. Get in the house. He better whoop all of our asses out here. Can't even sit on the porch.
Nope.
That's what y'all buy. I'm just trying to let you know. So I'm just saying, I mean, all them white folks in Ohio ain't gonna say you this time.
Nope.
Ain't gonna work. Alycia, how can folks reach you? Where you performing next?
I'm gonna be at Cough Sports Cafe in Bowie tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So
You
can get
where?
online. Cough Sports Cafe.
What you doing? Watching the game or something?
No, I'm doing stand-up.
Oh, God! I thought you wanted us to meet you there, watch the game, and get some hot wings or something.
No, we're doing stand-up. This is the first time they're bringing comedy there, and it's gonna be myself, Adela Banks, Frankie French, and Freddie Burnell, and a surprise special guest. So we're gonna have a good time tomorrow night.
All right. Well, good
And
luck
I went
with
to
that.
Benjamin Tasker Middle School, so some of them coming out.
All right. Well, how can folks reach you on social media?
You can Alycia Cooper 2 at Instagram.
All right. That's it, folks. We got to go. First of all, fantastic week.